So if you could sum your career up in one word, how would you describe it?
Chaos. Complete and utter chaos. I kind of fell into it. I then just kind of ran with it, and I'm still constantly surprised by it. So I would say complete and utter chaos.
Utter chaos. The one I actually get a lot is a roller coaster. I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, I suppose that's life as well, though, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, you know what I mean. But how we doing? How's the week been for yourself?
Busy. I do another job on top of wrestling, and that has just been crazy. I work in the wedding industry alongside wrestling, so peak wedding season. I work, I wrestle, I work, I wrestle, I work, I wrestle, and that is the extent of my days at the moment. It is just non-stop.
And how the bloody hell do you juggle both of those?
I've mentioned the word chaos. um, yeah, it's quite full on. Do not have a lot of spare time these days, but I also don't think I'd have it any other way. I mean, maybe just non-stop wrestling I would happily do, but for now, yeah, I think I'm in a good balance somewhat.
So imagine we're all busy you are. You'd never get time to yourself then at all.
It's rare. Um, I think there is up and down periods with wrestling. There's kind of quieter weeks than others. Um, so I actually have today like completely off. I'm training tomorrow. Um, I'm working with you guys tomorrow, but I am completely off today, and I don't know what to do with myself after this. I'm probably just gonna wander the streets.
I don't even know what to say to that comment.
Take my
Wander
little
this.
dog out. Take my little dog out and just walk.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, it's like just wandering the street. Things kind of throw me a little
Yeah,
bit.
that was really bad wording, wasn't it? No, I'll take my dog for a very, very long walk probably. And tire him out before he turns into an absolute asshole.
So let's obviously start at the beginning, Scarlett. How did obviously it all begin? You were getting into wrestling.
I always love this question because it's really funny. Most people have this whole passion story, and I did like wrestling as a kid. Kind of fell out of it because my friends weren't into it, which I think for younger girls, it's a lot more rare for them to be into wrestling. I'm quite glad to see that that seems to be changing though. I'm seeing a lot more young girls at shows, which is really cool. Um, but the main reason I got into wrestling was I kind of got back into it during COVID. You know, they were doing all the dark matches, and I feel like a lot of wrestling was really being pushed online because they were trying to get people to watch it online. So I started watching wrestling, and then because it was lockdown and I had nothing else to do, apart from bake, I was one of those people. I started rewatching all the wrestling that I could remember from when I was younger. And my dad was a child of the 80s, so he was born in like 79, so he grew up in the 80s, which was obviously like the very beginning of wrestling really being mainstream. So I went back and started watching all of the WrestleManias from the beginning, and then I started watching other kind of pay-per-views from the beginning. That kind of just transitioned into me watching a little bit more indie wrestling, kind of getting into the UK stuff that way. And then it was a few years later, my relationship at the time basically fell apart.
Ooh.
Yeah, he was working away a lot, and then we just massively drifted. So I'd bought a house at this point, so I was kind of in my house a lot on my own. I did some pole fitness, but then I went and basically, do you know what, I want something else I can really throw myself into. And just completely by chance, I used to work with a girl who'd done the valet and managing. So I non-creepily stalked her Facebook to find where she'd gone and done that. When I started training locally, and then, started managing a few weeks in, and then I did tag matches, and then I started doing the odd little singles and camp shows. And at some point, kind of back end of last year. So I started in 2022. Back end of last year, I started kind of branching out, thinking, right, okay, I'll start pushing myself to wrestle more. I think that's when I got quite hungry to do more of it. And from last November, it's kind of started going a little bit crazy, and I'm really busy, which is obviously great, but I just didn't really see it coming. So yeah, I got into wrestling because I was in an unhappy relationship, and wrestling has now kind of become the silver lining after the end of that relationship, and all the stress I went through having to obviously split a house and all of the rest of it that came from that. So wrestling is like a massive silver lining in my life now, which is kind of cool.
Would you say then it's like kind of like, you know, keep your mind occupied, obviously going through like what you said there?
Absolutely. I mean, I didn't intend really for that to be the case. I just, like I said, I was looking for a hobby, looking for something a bit more fitness based as well. And it was just, I went to one session and then I kind of just kept doing it. There was no real, I think there was, like I said, the back end of last year, there was a moment where I kind of went, okay, like I'm going to start taking this really seriously. But prior to that, I kind of just kept showing up. But yeah, I definitely threw myself into it, which I'm really glad I did. But I just wouldn't have expected it to be where it is now, probably 3.5 years ago when I started.
Crazy, right? Now, one of the promotions, obviously, I know you work for is Kingdom Wrestling, which has got a lot of internet buzz, let's be honest.
Yeah.
So, but I'll start for you at Kingdom Wrestling.
So I have, and I'll be very honest about this, I'm a very transparent person. I have a very big soft spot for Kingdom because when I first started branching out to kind of wrestle for more than just, where I was training or anything like that, I messaged obviously some promotions, and naturally some were very hesitant, as in, you've not wrestled a lot of places, you've only been doing this a few years. In the nicest way, they probably wanted to see me work elsewhere before they took that risk, which is fair enough. I completely understand. If I was hiring someone, I wouldn't probably take risks and things myself. But Kingdom did. Kingdom were really sweet in the way that they brought me in and worked with me going forward. They have a really cool setup. The backstage is a really cool atmosphere as well. The audience is fantastic, and honestly, I just love the names of the events themselves, because baptisms and body slams is just poetic when you're in the middle of an actual church.
You never thought you'd be like wrestling in a church, right? Let's be honest.
The first time was so surreal. There was a point where I think I was wrestling Kiara, and she kind of had me over the ropes, and I could just see Jesus behind me, and I thought, this is so strange. If there's a judgment day, it's right now. This is where my judgment is. But all joking aside, it is a cool place to wrestle. And they do really give it their all. They put effort into the production, and like you said, they've gone a little bit viral, and I can completely understand why. It is so, even when you're there, it's a little bit bizarre to be wrestling in between pews, but at the same time, it's a beautiful venue. The crowd are fantastic. They really get invested as well. And I can never really ask any more fans than to be there and invest in it like they are a child watching it for the first time, and to get into the storylines and watch it for what it is, because it is cool. I'm sat backstage watching other matches thinking, oh, that move was amazing. I still get so excited for it.
Yeah, it's definitely unique. What's Gareth like behind the scenes? Because obviously he's been on the show as well, and he's an incredible person to talk to.
He is, he's a joker, to be honest. Like, he is so much fun, and he does just want it to be a good show. Like, he puts a lot of himself into it, and you can definitely tell that it's kind of his brainchild, because it does just shine through with the personality of the shows. But no, backstage, he is a laugh. He sits and watches the matches too, and kind of has a laugh. Or he'll be sat there and he's like, I like this new theme song. This is a cool song. Whose song is this? Like, he is so invested, and I think that's really nice to see promoters just giving a shit about the promotion and being so invested in their promotion. So like, again, I think that's why I do have a soft spot for Kingdom. They kind of took that risk when no one else was willing to. And just it feels a bit family, which is really, really soppy to say, but it is.
You can't beat a family like environment and stuff like that. Let's be honest. So now, two people you've obviously worked with, and it's two people I really like in the ring. One is, of course, Alfie. How did you cope with Dee Dee?
I hate that bear. I hate that bear so much. That bear is. I think I mentioned on Scott Restnet. If you've ever watched Red Dwarf, and you know what the polymorph is, where it changes to something cute and deceptive, that's all I could think was, this is some possessed little snotty alien, and it's just horrific, and I had it thrown at me. I was hit with it. It was the most bizarre situation, but I hate that bear. I really hate that bear.
I know Alfie's going to watch this and she's going to be like, what the hell?
I think Alfie's just under the influence of a very evil bear. I remember Lana Austin Punk kicked it once, and it was one of the best days of my life.
Did I ever tell you the story what happened with that?
No.
We did a watch along for that actual match, and once the DD got booted, the stream corrupted.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm not wrong here. I think, I wrestled kind of earlier in the night, and I'd kind of thought, I want to go see this match. I want to go see what everyone else is kind of getting up to, know the enemy. And the whole match kind of stopped, so it's probably not a bad thing the stream interrupted, because the audience just were like, no, get Dee Dee back in the ring now. This is the priority of this match. Everybody stop wrestling. Like, they were so invested in this bear, which I don't like. The bear, no. I'm very disappointed to see that the bear's not lost.
Oh dear. Okay. And you mentioned Lana there. Now I know obviously you've been in the ring with Lana. What was that experience like?
She is a fantastic person to learn from. She can throw her hands. Like, don't get me wrong, she's in no way unsafe, but you will know she's hit you. Absolutely. But again, just a great person to work with. I know she definitely has this charisma as well. Like, the second she walks into a building, she walks through those curtains, and you don't even have to look behind you to know it's her. The crowd's reaction, just the charisma, everything. But it was really fun to work with her. Obviously, she came for my title, which I don't appreciate, but it was definitely a good experience. She's someone I would love to work again. Just, again, you learn from working with her, and you can really see her experience when she's wrestling rings around you at times.
She's incredible and stuff like that. Now, obviously, I pointed two out there, but what's some of your personal highlights? What's some moments you're proud of?
Ooh. I think Kingdom has been one of them. I think I've just got to really wrestle. I think I've just been really lucky as well. I've just got to wrestle really great people there. Obviously, Kiara, Leonie, Belushi, Ash Vega, Lana. I just had really phenomenal opponents, and every single one of them has brought it to the ring, and they've brought their personality and their style, and that's been really cool. So I would just say, as a whole, that's been really fun. Who else? Tidal as well. Tidal's a lot of fun. That was also Leonie, but the crowd is just phenomenal at Tidal. They're a great crowd to bully as well. Same with Firestar, actually. Yeah. Hitting their much loved Blue Eye, and that was just a lot of fun, to be honest, just whipping her with a chain. I won. That's what's important. But yeah, there's just some crowds that make a show. I love a Scottish crowd as well. I am, and I've said this on multiple podcasts, I'm so disappointed I don't get to wrestle more in Scotland. I have a lot of fun every time in Scotland. I think the crowds they've got energy, and they are feral. They're the ones that will attack you if you're mean to their favorite, but there's just so much passion there. And I think even like when I've wrestled Scottish people, I wrestled Kate Calloway for Zero Limits recently. She packs a punch. That was a really cool show as well, to be fair. That was quite a local one to me as well. So that was really fun to kind of have that, not hometown crowd, but a very local crowd. Defend my championship in the Northeast, obviously where I'm from. So that was pretty cool as well. But I just think this year has been the first year I think I've really put myself out there. I've kind of shown a bit more what I can do. I've won my titles. I've wrestled more people. I've done more of my intergender stuff, which I love. I did some intergender matches for BEW at Truckfest recently. I have an ongoing spat with Brandon Prince. I have a lot of respect for him. I do. He's a phenomenal wrestler, but there is very few people I want to punch in the face as much as him. So it's always fun to have a scrap with him. We do leave it in the ring for the most part, but we don't take it easy on each other. It's definitely a fight every time, which sometimes I just really enjoy those matches where you can really throw hands and they'll give it as good as they can take it, I guess.
I'm getting the vibe that you're an angry person in the ring. Is that fair?
In the ring, definitely, yeah. I think you have to, especially because I'm only 4'11". I am a very, very small lady, so I don't like being underestimated. I don't like, and it always happens. There's always this thing of, why is she wrestling him? Is he gonna let her win? I go out to inherently prove that's not the case. And I like a good fight. I think, that's what it's meant to be. We're having a fight for, a win, a belt, a championship. I'm not going to take it easy on anyone. That's not the case for me. But I think I do bring a lot of aggression to the ring. I don't go light. I'll hit hard and I'll hit every big move on you that I want to hit. I won't take it lightly with anyone, unfortunately.
Now, you mentioned intergender matches and stuff like that. Now, I know this. Some people like it, some people don't. Do you know what I mean? I personally like it and stuff like that. But what's your thoughts when it comes to that?
I absolutely love intergender wrestling. I think it's a whole new repertoire for a wrestler. It's a whole new skill set. It's a whole, like, the moves I can do with a woman, with most regards, I can't do on a full-grown man. So I either have to step my game up and do it and figure it out, or I have to completely work around this person, which is the same in every wrestling match. Every opponent's different. You have to go in there with some logic to what you're going to do and work with who they are and what their moves are. But I just think intergender wrestling, again, I did a lot of it at the start. There's not too many female wrestlers in the Northeast. I can probably count most of them on one hand, especially those that kind of do the whole scene and travel the length of the country. There is very, very few that come from the Northeast. So I did a lot of intergender wrestling starting out, and I think that's just always going to be something I enjoy now. I don't get to do it as much these days, but when I do, I always have a good time. And it's all like, come on, who doesn't want to see sweet Scarlett just socking Brandon Prince off, someone with the like in the face? Everyone loves it.
Absolutely, stuff like that. Now, for people obviously listening who's not familiar with yourself, why should fans go check you out? This is where I let people promote themselves.
I think I'm quite unique as a wrestler. As I said, I do a lot of intergender. I've done a lot of kind of various promotions. I think my wrestling style is such a mix. A lot of promotions, when you work for them, say, what's your style? And I'll be damned if I can give it a name. There's a lot of brawling. There's some flying. There's some submissions. There's a little bit of everything. There's occasionally some shithousery, I'll admit. But as long as they don't say it's legal, just remember that. I like to have fun. I do. I'll hit hard. I'll hit fast. I'll bully the ref. I'll bully some gingers and some bald men. It's not your fault. Blame Summer Rain. She's giving me a hatred. She's awful. But yeah, I like to have fun with the crowd. Chances are, if you come to a show, I'm going to be really sweet to you, or I'm going to bully you. It could go one of two ways. So make sure I like you for a start. But yeah, I think I try and have a lot of interaction with the crowd. I have a little bit of a unique style. And I have cool merch. So, triple threat.
Now, it says on your Instagram stuff like that, experience working face and heel on a regular basis. Over the past 20 minutes we've been talking, I'm just getting natural heel. I'm just going to say that.
So it depends on the promotion and what their crowd bring to it. There's some crowds I absolutely adore, and I'm more than happy to wrestle for, and Kingdom's one of them. As I said, I felt so welcome. I felt like part of the family. The crowd were lovely to me, and I will be lovely to the crowd, and I will, I'll be their biggest face and their biggest champion. Other companies where I show up and I'm getting booed and stuff thrown at me, I'm going to give you every bit of shit you're giving me. And that's the end of it. I give the energy you give to me. You're going to boo me? Fine. I'm going to be really mean to you. I might make you cry. That's the end of it. If you're nice to me, I'm going to be nice to you. I'm going to give you that energy. I'm going to fight hard for your titles and, beat up all your bad guys. But it's a very vigilante stance, I'm afraid. We go both ways.
I've got to ask, have you actually made anybody cry?
Next question.
Okay.
There was an incident where after a tag match I was in, some children were crying. That wasn't strictly down to me. That was perhaps down to everyone. However, only one child left the building. The rest stayed. So, they can't have been that upset.
Well, this next question, I'm curious to see how you're going to answer it, but the question is, what's the one thing that fans will never understand when it comes to wrestling? We know that fans are quite vocal on social media, but what's one thing they'll never understand?
I think for me, it's the whole, that's just fake, isn't it? Like, there's a lot of days I wake up hurting, and like I said, it's full on. It's so tiring. At the same time, and you genuinely have to love wrestling, I think, to be a wrestler. It takes a lot for you to do a whole week of whether you're working, whether you're wrestling, whether you're self-promoted, whatever you're doing. But to have a full week and then to drive 7 hours from one side of the country to the other, wrestle, interact with the crowd, all of that jazz, get changed, drive home, get up and function the next day and do it all again and again and again. It does suck, and you can have that sense of, oh, well, it's all fake. You're physically watching me do this. You can say it's fake up to whatever level that you think it is, I guess. But for me, it truly isn't. I'm getting in that ring, I'm being kicked in the face. I'm, jumping off a top rope and I'm hitting the moves that I'm hitting. They're physically happening. When I'm lifting someone over my shoulders, I'm lifting a full-grown man on my shoulders. So I think that's the one thing, is it's so full on. And maybe if you weren't behind the scenes, you don't see that. But I sound like I'm promoting the new WWE thing. The whole behind the camera thing, where it's like, it's more than you think it is. It really is. It's a lot of hours. It's, not getting enough sleep. It's crazy long car journeys with some absolutely delusional games to keep yourself occupied. It's, the gear, it's the venues, it's the promotion. There's a lot that goes into being a wrestler, especially on the independent scene, where you don't have this big manager doing it for you. You don't have the contract. You don't have all of this. And I think it just really is so much work. And people that I know from outside of wrestling, they don't get it. My family don't always get it. And then it's kind of like, yeah, I haven't had an hour to myself in 4 weeks. Forgot my own name at one point. That's the level we got to. I introduced myself as Emily, and I was like, who's Emily? And I was like, I don't know. Spirals. I think I'd been talking to an Emily prior to this. Yeah. And that was all I could think, was that I was mid-conversation with Emily when someone had kind of started speaking to me. So, it's just so full on. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely love it, and I wouldn't change that. But I think I'm a very big believer in, if you don't love wrestling and you don't care about on some level important. You know, you should never want to go out there and be like, it is what it is. There's certain matches that you can have more fun with. Don't get me wrong. There's people that once you start working them more and more, you're like, I know what's coming. I'll have a bit of fun with you. I love to do it with the refs. Yeah, bullying the refs is pretty fun, or having fun with the refs at the worst guy's expense, I guess. But yeah, it's just so full on, and I think that's the big thing for me is it's a lot.
The only ref I know did some stuff for Kingdom's Katie. Have you ever had some fun with her?
Yeah, so this wasn't my fault. This was entirely down to Kiara being a brat. I had Kiara up for a Samoan, and as I turned, she kicked Katie in the face, and Katie's out. But I love Katie. Ref Katie is one of my favorite refs. She's one of the refs I probably could never hate. Yeah, she brings all the energy to the ring. She's a phenomenal ref, and she's just really lovely backstage as well. You know, she is the energy of the locker room at all times.
And one thing I love, I mean, I've had the privilege, obviously, of interviewing her, met her in person. She's always smiling. Do you know what I mean? Whether it's hot, cold, whether she's always smiling.
Yeah, she's a ball of just energy and joy, and maybe that's why. I mean, everywhere she refs, I see him be a good guy. Maybe that's why. Maybe Ref Katie is influencing me as a happy person. But yeah, no, she's fantastic. She's one of those people I genuinely love to see in the locker room.
100% and stuff like that. So we've not spoke about injuries. Have you had many injuries?
I've been fairly lucky, I think. I've had one or two. So I have an ongoing one, which is my coccyx, which can flare up and be quite painful. And I will have to work around that some days. Then I've had a couple of sprains, ankle-wise. One was... Yeah, I did it and I was like, this is really sore. Like, this is... Like, I go over on my ankle a lot. I need to stress that I'm such a clumsy person. But, I slipped and it was during an entrance. The stage on the entrance was wet, whether it was from water or sweat or oil. I have no idea. My foot kind of went. Got in the ring, did my match, did a rumble as well at the end. And then I got backstage and I was like, this is starting to really throb. Took my boot off and I could see it was a bit puffy and I thought, oh, it's okay, it just needs ice. Woke up the next morning and my ankle was like that and green and brown and purple. And I was like, oh, that was a bad one. So I had to go to a christening that day. So basically, went to a christening in Vans, laced, kind of tied my foot up, and then just kept icing it. And I probably had it taped up for probably 6 to 8 weeks after, because I think I was back in the ring after 10 days wrestling, because I've got no common sense apparently. I've had my nose kind of bust open once, which again is just one of those small things. I've had a minor concussion, which was during a training session. I got clipped right on kind of the base of my skull and I thought, oh, it's okay, just dizzy. Got home and I was like, oh, I'm sick. Like, I'm bad. Nauseous and sick. Kind of got myself in a bath thinking, right, the water will take a bit of the pain away. Thought it was just a headache. And I had to kind of just get out of the bath and get in bed, like completely soaking wet, crying because I couldn't move. It was like, and that was such a minor concussion as well. And I think that goes back to what people don't understand about wrestling, is sometimes these things that are really common really suck. Like, if you've ever had a concussion, you'll know. It's not like in movies where people are like woozy and then they just get up and it's like, oh, I'm concussed. No, you are throwing up. Your head feels like there's an ice pick in it. You're dizzy. It's awful. I like, that's the one thing I pray I don't have to go through again, is a concussion. It sucked, and it, like I said, it wasn't even a major concussion.
So have you actually been had to like be out the ring for so long then, or is it like all short term?
All short term. Some of them maybe should have been a little bit longer, but like I said, I don't have common sense some days, and if I chronically as well do not like letting people down, even if the fans that I like to shout at, you know what, there is a picture of the ankle somewhere, but yeah, I probably shouldn't have got in the ring as quick as I did after that one. I did another match 10 days later, which again, it probably wasn't my finest moment. I should have left it a bit longer. There it is. So this was the following day.
Oh, ouch.
That is a fat ankle, right? What I love is my parents are very much, come on, get on with it. So I'd sent it to my mum, and she was like, God, you've got really fat ankles, haven't you? And I was like, it's the size of a melon in its green. That's not my normal ankle, quite clearly. But yeah, they were like, you'll be fine. Just ice it. You're fine. You know, nothing's broken. Okay, I'll get back in the ring then. I'm fine. So yeah, that's the mentality I've been raised with. So I do very much just get on with it. You know, tape it up. Not a lot of things that wrist tape or connect tape can't fix. If not, you've got your DP and your deep freeze, and that is what every locker room stinks of.
I don't know what next question to go now. You kind of throw me off for that last bit.
Big fat ankles just ruined everything.
Dear. So before obviously you go out and perform and stuff like that, how do you get yourself into the zone?
I got asked this on Wednesday, and it's so bad. I panic chronically. I joke about this to everyone, like anyone who's probably worked with me or wrestled with me knows this. 30 minutes before my match, and until I'm in that ring and locked up, I hate wrestling. I get the worst anxiety. So my 30 minutes before my match, I am a wreck. I am pacing. I am nervous, weeing. I am just a nightmare. And I love when everyone else has got music in and they're like doing press ups, and I am just trying every part of me to not sit in a corner and just rock. It does vary, don't get me wrong. There's some people I'm really excited to go out and kick the head in. So sometimes I'm really pumped up and I don't need the ritual. Sometimes it's just a case of, right, I've got a job to do, the blinkers are on. But then there's other times where if I'm a little bit nervous, I am just a wreck. So it varies which day you catch me on. I'm either really aggressive, really happy, or really nervous, and it fluctuates hugely. I said I'd be transparent. I'm just a bit of a wreck. Maybe that's why I'm so aggressive in the ring.
I dare ask how you wind after a match now.
Depends on the show. Some shows, my dog travels with me, so some shows it is some puppy cuddles and a drink. Depending on when I get home, I love a bath. I am a bath person through and through. Sometimes as well, obviously, you've just got to unpack everything and get changed. And sometimes it's nice to go speak with the fans as well, you know, and just kind of make sure they enjoyed it, you know, put my body on the line. Did you like it? Great. Yes. Yeah, again, it just depends on the show. It depends on the match. It depends who I've wrestled. Yeah, it really varies for me. I think I'm very influenced by my surroundings and people, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so, stuff like that. So if you can narrow it down to one thing, what's the biggest thing you've learned in wrestling? What would that be?
So I actually, last weekend, actually went to a seminar with Flash Morgan Webster. And I actually got some advice there, which I've not really had yet. And it was such good advice, and it was not all advice is created equal. Because in wrestling, obviously, you work with a lot of different people, and it's a community. A lot of people do want to help you, and there it is. There he is. And basically, you know, someone can give you really good advice. It doesn't mean it's the right advice for you. And I think that's something that's really helped me, because I can get quite disheartened. I'm an all or nothing kind of person. So when I'm throwing my everything in and someone tells me something, if it then doesn't work for me, I maybe then think, oh God, I'm like, it's my fault, it's this, it's that. And kind of getting that advice of, advice is great. Always listen to the advice. Always try the advice. It doesn't mean it's going to be right for you. There's so many components to wrestling. There's so many styles of wrestling. So many people in wrestling. And I think that was just one of those things where it kind of took the load off me of, okay, not everything is going to be for me. Not every advice is going to work. That doesn't mean I've just overnight become really shit and forgotten how to wrestle. It is sometimes just, it can be good advice, but it's not all, not all advice is created equal. It can benefit some people more than others. And again, with so many different styles of wrestling, including myself, it was really nice to hear that. And just as well, I think the best advice I've ever gotten is to sometimes be your own biggest push. It's work, it is, and you kind of are your biggest supporter some days. When you're aching and you've had 3 hours sleep and you've got to get up and you've got to do a 7-hour drive, it's sometimes a case of, yeah, you know what, I love this, I do this for me. I'm getting up and I'm getting it done. But I think, yeah, the best advice is just not all advice is created equal, and sometimes you do have to be your biggest push, and you've got to promote yourself a lot in wrestling, especially in the independent scene, which it's a big part of it, and sometimes it's difficult, but yeah, I think that's two of the best advice I've been given.
Yeah. Would you say that social media obviously plays a big part in wrestling now?
Social media?
Yes.
Yes. There is some people who have just shot like incredibly on the scene with the social media, and it's a good thing, I think, on some levels, and some levels it's not. Social media also has this really big problem where people think because you create social media for your fans, for promoters, for, even for yourself, and that's fine, but some people then take it as because you share some things publicly that your life is public, and it's not. I have had some really weird messages. I've had people saying really weird things to me at shows. Once had a guy genuinely go off at me because I don't have OnlyFans, which was really strange. It's not even like it's something I've got an issue with. It's just something I don't personally do. And he shouted at me in front of his kids. And he's like, I know what you are. Like, you definitely have it. Why won't you give it to me? And I was like, whoa, sir, I do not have the time for anything else in my life. Some of these women, like, that do it, you can tell they put time and effort in to their appearance. No, I genuinely, last year I got a perm so I didn't have to do my hair before shows and could have an extra 20 minutes of sleep. That is the level of time saving I am at. I have people message me and they're like, "Are you single? Who are you with? Is it wrestler? Is this, is that?" And I'm like, I do not know you. This is such a strange thing to say to people. You get the positive side of it where you're seen by more promoters and fans can kind of come and interact with you and see the little bits behind the scenes where you're training and where you're going to be next. And it's great from that perspective. And if you do have another revenue that's the side of things, whether it is the modeling or the gear making or whatever it is that you do, again, it's a great way to push it. Don't get me wrong. But I think then you do have the other side where some people do just take a massive advantage of, well, you put part of your life on social media, so there's no boundary. And I think the people that don't have that balance and think that it's okay, it's really not, and it gets taken to another level sometimes. That can make you feel quite unsafe.
And that's what winds me up when I was there. Like, look at posts on like Instagram or Twitter, you'll see the comments and people's asking like comments there, and I'm just thinking, what are you doing? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That, like you said, with social media, it has got its good parts, but it's also got a lot of bad parts and stuff like that. And that winds me up as a fan. Do you know what I mean? Seeing that, does that wind you up, obviously, as a wrestler?
Yeah, I mean, even as a wrestling fan, I'm still a very big wrestling fan as I sit here in a room full of action figures and Funkos. It annoys me, and it's just a kind of common human decency and common human sense. Why are you saying that to someone who, yes, okay, you come and watch them, but it's weird for you to still think about something that you don't know personally and that you don't have that really close relationship with. to ask some of the questions, because even if you want to ask certain questions that are a little bit, you know, if there's then an answer where it's a no or please don't ask me that, it's just basic respect to kind of leave it there and be like, oh, okay, I just thought I'd ask, which is fair enough. By all means, ask the questions, you know, interact with people that you're a fan of. I have absolutely no issues with that, you know, but it's taking it to that next level of making them uncomfortable and then not sensing that or just not respecting it and then just still full steam ahead. As I said, you do sometimes get it shows as well, but not as much. It does heavily tend to be social media for me. I get messages a lot on the intergender stuff as well, where it's like, well, that's fake. What part? I've got him over my shoulders carrying him. How am I physically? Unless you can find the pulley, you know. It's really not. Or people that go on and the best was somebody tried to tell me I was wrestling wrong. That's not how you do this move that I've been professionally taught. And I'd actually posted a video where I was training up at Rampages in Newcastle, and I was practicing a few of my moves off the ropes and stuff. And someone commented, was like, that's not how you do them. And I was just like, well, I think the multiple trained people here would have told me if there was an issue. And then it was actually a lucha that I've worked with in the past commented, and he was like, there's nothing wrong with what she's doing. And this person was like, I've been a fan for this long. And they were like, yeah, I've done lucha for 9 years. Please stop telling her to aim at someone's knees. That will break knees. Like, do you see this? And it's a baffling part sometimes with, and it's a very, I need to stress that it's a very small percentage of fans, but there's a very small percentage that are like, I've watched wrestling, I know it better than anyone. And it's, you know, you maybe don't get the technique, you don't get how it works on different sized people, how it is for different sized people to do it. You know, I won't hit a move the way Bronson Reed hits a move. We could maybe hit the same move. It's not going to look the same because I'm not Bronson Reed. But you've never seen us in a room together.
There you go.
There we go. But yeah, it's that kind of level where it becomes a bit irritating. You know, you're putting so much into it for people to give you a stick or to be a bit weird or across boundaries. But then you've got the really lovely side where it's so supportive and it's, you know, helpful for promoters to see you and you work with other people and find people to collaborate with and wrestle with. And it's really cool. And it's just such a shame when that small percentage lets it down. And I mean, I'm quite lucky. I know people who get it a lot worse than me. But yeah, it's just one of those things. I think if people could be mindful of what they're saying and what they're doing and remember that, okay, yes, this is a wrestler. This is, you know, this is someone here that's in the ring and they're interacting with you. Okay, but they've also got their own stuff. They've got stuff outside of wrestling. They've got, you know, wrestling is probably a very big part of their life. I won't say it isn't because it's a dominating part of my life. But I have my other stuff, you know. Don't try and knock on my car window and things like that. It's really weird. But by all means, come speak to me at a show. Message me on Instagram. You know, I'm always more than happy to speak to people. It's just have boundaries. If you wouldn't kind of like it done yourself, maybe don't do it to people.
I've always said me that the people who understand wrestling better is better the wrestlers themselves. I think that's probably like a nice little thing to end that little section on. So a few little more questions obviously begin to wind down and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What's the goal obviously for you now? I mean, you've done so much, like I said, in such short time. What's obviously next for you?
I think just wrestling more places, wrestling more people. I would next year. I'm starting to look at maybe doing a little bit outside of the UK. Again, just for the experience and working with some more people. So hopefully something's going to be coming from that really soon. But yeah, just wrestle more people, wrestle more places, have fun with it, get to build that experience. And yeah, it's really generic and soppy. I kind of worry, but that is just what it is for me. I want to get better. I want to train more places. I want to train with more people. I want to work with different people. Ultimately, that is the best way to be a better wrestler. And yeah, I think that's the best way I can plan it.
What about, is there any people you'd like to get in the ring with, like your top 3?
Oh, I get asked this so much. There's so many people I want to wrestle. I think there's a couple of girls in Scotland, like I said, that I would really love to wrestle. You know, people like, and I know you've got Casey on next. I'd love to wrestle Casey. I love the aesthetic. I love the style. I love it. I think it's such a cool. It's just cool all around. It's someone I'd love to work in the ring. Just love it. Same with people like Daisy Jenkins, Molly Spartan. Me and Nicole Jasmine, we've been passing ships for some time. We've never got to wrestle, and we keep having this joke of whenever she's in England, I'm not wrestling her. We've even been on the same promotions, and we've just never had that match, which is a shame. Same with kind of a lot more of the girls that are a little bit further south to me. As I said, there's not a lot of girls in the northeast, so there's a few more I'd like to work. Just again, the different styles, I think it does make you a better wrestler. I'd love to work Lana again. Like I said, she was great to work. Alfie again, I would, you know, maybe boot Dee Dee, but I would work Alfie again. It's so different to work with people who bring something so different to the ring. I'd like to do more on gender still. You know, that's still not completely signed off on. I got to watch a really cool match recently as well with a couple of the Eve Riot girls in. And again, just it's the same with those guys. I mean, all of them, and like I will say this just as a promotion. Eve just has such a spectrum of wrestlers, and they all bring completely different things to the ring. And I don't think there's anyone on their shows that I wouldn't love to wrestle at some point, whether it's, you know, whatever promotion it is. But I do think women's wrestling in the UK is having a bit of a spike at the moment, which is really, really cool. And yeah, I do want to work as many people as possible. I think the styles that are coming now, there's not like a generic woman's style. It's just so broad and different, and I love that. And like I said, I just love working different people and different styles.
Awesome. Scarlett, this has been an absolute blast. Hopefully you've enjoyed yourself today. Thank you for being so open as well, because it's very rare I get that.
I'm a yapper, so I'll be very transparent where I can, really.
No, I appreciate that. So is there anything you'd like to plug before we head off?
Just keep an eye on socials, all of the upcoming shows I do post on there. Scarlett merch has recently been updated. That is also on the Instagram. So there's like the t-shirts, there is the kiss cards, there's other little bits. I do sign pictures at shows and things like that as well. Always come and speak to me, you know, I might bully you, but it just depends on my mood that day, you know. It is what it is. But yeah, just it would be cool to meet more people. It would be cool for people to come to more shows. Big believer in support your indie wrestling. You know, people complain now because mainstream wrestling is so expensive, and it really is. I went to a show last year and I'm still disgusted at what we paid for tickets. And then, you know, indie wrestling is such a fraction of that. Go watch your local indies. It's normally a lot of fun, you know. Go support the local wrestlers. They are tired and they are in pain, and some of them are mean, but some of them are really nice, I swear. Go meet them, you know, go buy their merch. That usually have cool merch as well. Go meet them, go say hi, go take pictures. Just invest yourself in the scene as much as you can. But, you know, mostly me, because I've just talked to you all.
Absolutely. So what we'll do is we'll put your Instagram link in the description so fans can jump from this straight to your Instagram. How's that?
Yeah, Instagram, TikTok tend to be the main ones. I am on Facebook as well. I chronically forget to post sometimes on Facebook. But yeah, Instagram and TikTok, she's all up there.
Absolutely. So we'll post all that and stuff like that. So I need one final thing from you. Everyone I interview gets to do the outro for this show, so you can say anything you want, you can promote anything you want, and I will end the stream. Over to you.
Oh, I mean, continue watching this stream for one, because you get people like me on it coming and just yapping and telling you all the behind the scenes and all the ins and outs of indie wrestling. If you see Dee Dee at a show, boot her. That's number 2. And I like when people go up to wrestlers and ask them really stupid questions. So if you get the chance to do that, do. Nikki is fantastic for it. You know, she goes up and asks what type of boxes people prefer, whether they'd rather be a bee or a wasp. Go catch people out. Do that in everyday life. But yeah, most importantly, support indie wrestling, support podcasts, and go follow whatever of mine's on the screen. And that's all.